Machiavelli wrote endlessly about princes and republics, about war, strategy, and deception. His name has become synonymous with cunning. But behind his books, his letters, his diplomatic reports, there was a truth he never fully admitted. Not in public, not in the councils of Florence, not even in the pages of the Prince or the discourses. It was a truth too sharp to hand over casually, too dangerous to speak in plain words. Instead, he left it scattered in fragments, hidden in contradictions, buried in phrases that seemed practical but carried an undertone for those who listened carefully. The truth was this: man does not rule himself. Man is ruled. The illusion of freedom, the illusion of reason, the illusion of being the master of one's own life, Machiavelli saw through it. He knew that the majority of men, even the proudest, even the most educated, were driven not by conscious choice, but by forces beneath their control: fear, appetite, pride, envy, hope. These forces are older than law, older than morality, older than any philosophy. They live in the blood, not the reason. And here lies the secret Machiavelli never wrote directly, but implied in every page. You are not who you think you are. Your virtues, masks. Your morals, convenient fictions. Your choices, reactions to impulses you neither chose nor understood. A man calls himself just or merciful or honorable, but place him in danger, and those virtues melt into instinct. Put him before fortune, and he will betray his own ideals to survive. The names we give ourselves are decorations on a wall. The wall itself is built from fear and desire. This is why Machiavelli spoke of not virtue as goodness, but virtue as power. The strength to act in harmony with reality, not illusion. And reality, as he observed, is harsh. Most people do not think. They follow their passions. Most people do not choose. They are chosen by circumstance. Most people do not live deliberately. They are pulled by strings they cannot see. He left the secret in his warning. If you do not rule yourself, you will be ruled by others. But this is the twist. Machiavelli did not believe most men could ever truly rule themselves. They would always be prey to deception, manipulation, the appearance of things. The crowd does not ask for truth. It asks for spectacle. They do not want to face the chaos of their nature. They want a prince, a leader, a mask to worship. I think this is why he kept silent, because to say openly that man is not the author of his own life, but the puppet of forces he cannot see, would be to strip away the very illusions that keep society together. Think for a moment of your own life. How many of your choices were made freely? Did you choose your beliefs? Or did they choose you through parents, teachers, culture? Did you choose whom to love, or were you carried into their orbit by unseen desires? Did you choose your career, or were you driven by fear of poverty, lust for status, pressure from others? You may think you are free, but Machiavelli would whisper, no, you are compelled. The appetites pull you in one direction, fear pulls you in another, fortune places obstacles before you, habit drags you back where you swore you would not return. You give this chaos the name of choice, but in truth it is necessity. And necessity, Machiavelli said, is the true ruler of men. This is why he distrusted morality, did not despise it because he loved cruelty, despised it because he saw it was powerless against necessity. A man may swear never to lie, but when survival demands it, he will lie. A ruler may swear never to spill blood, but when danger comes, he will spill it gladly. Morality bends before necessity, and necessity is ruled by fortune, the unpredictable, uncontrollable forces of the world. Machiavelli's hidden fear was that most men live and die as slaves of this fate. They think they are noble, they think they are rational, but they are simply repeating the same patterns, enslaved to the same impulses, prisoners of the same illusions. This is why he wrote that it is better to be feared than loved. It's not because he thought cruelty was beautiful, but because he saw that love is fragile, irrational, changing with the winds of fortune. Fear, however, cuts deeper into the bones. It holds a man in ways love cannot, because beneath the mask of civility, beneath the mask of friendship, the raw engine of fear is what truly rules. And yet he did not despair, because in rare men, in rare princes, In rare leaders, he saw the possibility of something else. Mastery. Not mastery in the sense of control over the world. Fortune is too wild for that. But mastery over oneself, over the illusions, over the appetites that rule the crowd. The man who sees clearly, who strips away the comforting lies and looks necessity in the face, such a man can begin to act not as puppet but as player. This was Machiavelli's silent challenge. To strip yourself of illusion. To face the fact that you are not who you pretend to be. To admit that your morals bend under pressure, that your choices are not free, that your life has been shaped by forces you barely acknowledged. Only then can you begin to reclaim even a fragment of true power. For most men will not do this. They will prefer the lie. They will insist that their lives are guided by reason, that their choices reflect their values. They will live comfortably in illusion, and they will call it virtue. But inside, the appetites rule, and when the right moment comes, the mask falls away. Machiavelli warned, he who does not confront necessity will be crushed by it. Look at the patterns of your life. How many times have you returned to the same failure? How many times have you promised to change only to fall back into the same habits, the same weakness, the same disappointments? Do you believe this is accident? No. These are the fingerprints of necessity shaping you from beneath. The man who was humiliated as a youth finds humiliation again in adulthood. The man betrayed by love finds betrayal in every new lover. The ambitious man who fears failure sabotages himself at the edge of success. These are not coincidences. These are the loops of fortune and passion, repeating themselves because you never confronted them. Machiavelli called this fortuna, and he compared it to a violent river. If you do not prepare, it sweeps you away. If you do not build defenses, it will drown you. Most men, he saw, let themselves be carried, and they pray to fate, to luck, to God, but they do not act. And so their lives are not lived, but washed away. But the man of the rare man who sees clearly does not wait for fortune to decide. He confronts her. He builds dikes and dams. He shapes her chaos to his advantage. He does not hope. He acts. And yet even here there is danger, for to see clearly is to lose innocence. To know that your morality is a mask, that your freedom is an illusion, that your life is shaped by appetites and chance. This knowledge can crush a weak spirit. This is why Machiavelli never spoke it outright. He knew that most men cannot bear the weight of truth. They need illusion to live. Strip them of it, and they collapse. But for those who can bear it, for those who can survive the shock of seeing themselves without masks, there lies the rarest treasure, real freedom. Not the freedom to do whatever you want. Fortune will always oppose you. But the freedom to act with eyes open, to stop mistaking illusion for reality, to stop calling necessity choice, to see the strings that move men and begin to pull your own. This is the freedom of the prince, the freedom Machiavelli wrote for but never confessed aloud. And it carries a cost. For once you see the truth, you lose the comfort of excuses. You can no longer blame fortune for all your misery. You can no longer claim innocence when your appetites lead you astray. You must accept responsibility for the chaos within you. Most men will not pay this price. They would rather live in chains than admit they are chained. They would rather worship illusions than command reality. But you, if you dare to see, may step into the role. Machiavelli reserved only for princes and rare spirits, the one who knows himself not as a mask, not as a slave, but as the master of necessity. And the question he leaves you with is this: will you cling to the illusions that comfort you, or will you strip them away and stand, naked before the truth? Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you know it, you cannot unknow it. Listen carefully, because if you understood part one, you saw how Machiavelli believed men are slaves to their appetites, their fears, and to fortune itself. But he never stopped there. He went deeper. He asked, why do men repeat their own ruin? Why does the coward fail in the same way again and again? Why does the betrayed lover walk back into betrayal? Why does the ambitious man sabotage himself at the very moment he touches success? Machiavelli's answer was brutal, because most men never meet themselves. Live as masks, repeating patterns they do not see, chained to impulses they never confront. And so their downfall is not bad luck, it is necessity. 1. The eternal repetition. Machiavelli studied rulers, generals, popes, and princes. He saw how families rose and fell across generations. One father ruled with cruelty, and his son was destroyed, trying to be merciful. One prince trusted his allies too much, and his heir was ruined by suspicion. One city grew strong through war, and its children collapsed in peace. Different faces, different names, the same story. What looked like fate was only human shadow repeating itself. And here's what Machiavelli would tell you. If you look closely at your own life, you will see it too. The battles you keep fighting, the wounds that whisper in your ear, the humiliations that still sting decades later, they are not silent. They command you. They write themselves into your choices. They lead you to the same enemies, the same loves, the same mistakes, until you see the pattern, or it destroys you. 2. The prison of illusion. This is why Machiavelli laughed at men who praised virtue, not because he hated virtue, but because he saw it was often a disguise. A coward calls himself cautious. A greedy man calls himself prudent. A man who flatters the strong calls himself loyal. But beneath the mask, necessity rules. You can say you are free. You can swear you make your own choices. You can decorate your mask with all the words of religion, morality, and honor. But if you never meet the forces inside you, the envy, the fear, the hunger, they will rule you in secret. That was Machiavelli's darkest realization. Most men are not rulers of themselves. They are ruled by shadows. 3. Fortune versus shadow. You may think your enemy is fortune, that life is unfair, that luck betrayed you. But Machiavelli would laugh. Fortune only exposes the shadow you refuse to confront. A storm reveals whether your foundations are strong. A betrayal reveals whether your hunger for love made you blind. Crisis reveals whether your fear rules you or whether you rule it. What men call fate is often only their own weakness, revealed at last. 4. The secret of power. Now, here's the dangerous part. Machiavelli did not believe most people can handle this truth. The masses need illusions. They need to believe they are noble, that they are free, that they are good. That is why rulers feed them myths, religion, and spectacles. Because without illusions, the crowd collapses. But for the rare man, the man who dares to see, clearly the shadow can be faced. And if you face it, you gain power. Not moral power, not the false virtue of appearances, power. The ability to see the game for what it is. The coward who admits his cowardice is already stronger than the one who hides it. The envious man who admits his envy can guard against it, while the one who denies it will betray himself. The ambitious prince who admits his hunger can channel it, instead of being devoured by it. This is what Machiavelli meant by not goodness, not morality, but the strength to rule yourself. 5. The rare man. Imagine this. A man who has faced his own cowardice cannot be blackmailed by fear. A man who has admitted his hunger for power cannot be deceived by false promises. A man who has met his own shadow cannot be destroyed by it. This man is rare, but this man is free. And freedom, Machiavelli reminds us, is never given. It is taken. 6. Your choice now. The question is not about princes or kings. It is about you. How much of your life has been truly yours? How many of your defeats were really bad luck? And how many were your shadow repeating itself? How many of your choices were born of freedom, and how many were whispers of fear and appetite you refused to see? Here is Machiavelli's hidden challenge. You will either confront the shadow willingly. It will strip away your illusions by force. Most men will wait until it is too late. They will die with their mask on, never meeting the face beneath. But very few choose differently. They strip away the mask. They look in the mirror without fear. They meet the hunger, the envy, the cowardice, and they say, "Yes, this is mine. Because it is mine, I rule it." That man is no longer the servant of shadows. That man is dangerous. That man is free. 7. The final secret. And this is the secret Machiavelli never wrote in public. The greatest kingdom you will ever rule is yourself. If you cannot master it, you will be ruled forever by fear, by appetite, by fortune, by illusions, by others. But if you seize it, if you master the shadow, then even fortune bows to you. You cannot control her storms, but you can build walls. You cannot escape her floods, but you can ride the waves. The man who rules himself is the only man fit to rule others. The man who sees his shadow is the only man who can see the shadows of the world. And now you know. The question is no longer whether the shadow exists. The question is whether you will face it. Will you live as servant of illusions? Or will you seize the dangerous freedom of a man who knows himself? Because once you have heard this, you cannot go back. The mask is broken. The choice is yours.